Hi, my name is Josh Vogel from www.theslothReport.com. Today I wanted to talk about, this is my third video log, and today I wanted to talk about a very simple tip that I try to give white belts when they're moving from, when they're first getting into rolling. What happens is, and I've written this in my hashtag white belt problems blog series before, but in case you guys haven't read that, number one is the biggest problem that a lot of white belts have when they first start rolling is everything is confusing. You end up in all these different spots, the top of the mount, bottom of the mount, you slap hands, you don't know what to do, bottom of side control, half guard, all these different spots, and then a lot of like in-between spots that you're not really certain how they work. So the advice that I usually give is to pick one move from every major position. So learn one move from top of the mount, one move from bottom of the mount, one move from closed guard bottom, one move from closed guard top, top of side control, bottom of side control, on the back or with somebody on your back, and sometimes knee on belly. But I try to advise them to learn one basic move from each of those positions. And I try to keep the move fairly basic. So like, I wouldn't choose anything too intricate or complicated, but just one move. And what this does is when you end up in a confusing position that you don't know what to do, you should have one move that you can at least think about going for. It might not work perfectly, but at least it's something that you can kind of grab onto and build off of. So you slap hands, you start rolling, you pull somebody into your closed guard, and you only know how to do an arm bar. So you go for an arm bar. Okay, so this is the first step of your game. You go for an arm bar, and they pass your guard, they end up on top of you in side control. Well, then you go for your one side control escape, and if you get out of side control, and you end up back in your closed guard, then you go for your arm bar again. If you end up on their back somehow, then you end up going for your rear naked choke. If they end up on top of you in the mount, then you go for your bump and roll. So one basic move from every position. This is the scaffolding that you're gonna build your game off of. And obviously, eventually, you might switch out moves, like the armbar from the guard might not be good for you. You might have to switch to an X choke or something like that. But the main idea is just that you have something to grab onto to get rid of that first confusion. And that's something that you can build off of. So step number one basic move from every spot. Step number two is once you learn that move, then you start troubleshooting it. Okay, I was on bottom of the side control and I tried to do my elbow escape, but my opponent kept their hips heavy and put their left hand on my knee, so I couldn't get the elbow escape. They blocked my knee from coming across their waist. So now you have information. And so you can say, okay, well, if I try to do my elbow escape again, I know they're gonna put their hand on my knee and I know they're gonna drop their hips. So what do I have to do to solve that problem? And so you start to build, okay, maybe I need to grab their wrist and pull it off my knee so I can get my closed guard back. Once I get my closed guard back, I go for my arm bar, and every single time I go for my arm bar, they rip out of it. Okay, I ask my teacher, they rip out of my arm bars, what do I do? And then the teacher says, okay, well, show me how you're doing the arm bar. They show you the arm bar, and then the teacher says, okay, well, here's the problem. You're not moving your hips out enough, or your hips are not up in the armpit enough, or you're not throwing your leg over the head quickly enough, and they're ripping out of it. So the teacher can help you troubleshoot the problem with your move. And then you build off of that, and then, once you get a basic sense of one move from every position, you can start to build off of that scaffolding. You can add another move that works with that move. So you go for the arm bar and they rip out of it, so then you switch to a triangle choke. So now you have two moves from every position. And then you keep on building off of that, and then eventually you get to a point where you have a couple things that you do from every position. For the most part, you don't really run into any confusing areas. Now it's just a matter of trying to make these things work. And then that's the subject for another video log once you get to that point. But at first, the goal is just to eliminate confusion. So just remember one move from every spot. Give it a shot.